check this out.
Let's get cracking!
Welcome back, everybody, here to your coverage of the D2CL, going into game number 2 in our 2-game series to kick us off for this new season of the D2CL. Of course, if you want to support the D2CL, you can actually watch from inside the game and get our cute new little courier, which comes along with the in-game ticket as well. Or you could just be right here on Dailymotion watching the live stream, which you can also find over on Dota.com. So many places, so many cool things. But into the game we head, and I'll welcome in my co-cast of tonight, the man who keeps me sane and controlled and also informed about our game. Clairvoyance, man, welcome back for game number 2.
Thanks for having me as always, Toby, as we go straight into game number 2 here. And once again, game 1, Na'Vi following with their plans as per usual and just dominating the early game and proceeding to dominate the mid-later stages. Of course, that time specifically there was a certain draft that was oriented towards this, and they once again succeeded in terms of fulfilling their plans. Let's see if things will go the same, because Alliance have just secured themselves one of the best laners and possibly one of the best heroes in this patch, in this metagame, the Razor.
That's true. That they definitely have, man. But I still want to... I've seen Razors fall. I've seen Razors fall.
Oh yeah,
and
they certainly could.
They can fall really hard. If you don't get your early start you're searching for, if you can't keep control of your lane, if you do, however, give them like a Faceless Void versus a Razor, hell yeah, Razor will take that any day. That's a very, very simple lane for him. Yeah, I'm interested to see how FNG wants to respond to this. Should know too, it wasn't a mistake in the last game that Chessie was the drafter. He actually is doing the drafting right now for Alliance as well.
Yeah,
in game number 2. But we go for
Alliance's turn to
what did I say during game number 1, man? What did I say during game number 1?
What did you say, Toby? What did you say?
The Batrider Funnick offlane. You have to be mindful of it, especially when Na'Vi are over on the Dire side. He has been playing a brilliant Batrider on the offlane. If you decide to go any kind of jungle hero like an Enigma or a Chen or an Enchantress, you just don't find anything, and if you go for something like an SK stacking up inside the jungle, haha, you're even more royally screwed. So if you're also considering the Tinker, because that's another way it was punishing lineups, you do stacks for Tinkers, and Funnick will come all the way over into the Radiant, like the 2 mid camps, and just firefly over the top of him. Whenever he felt like there's a stack, be it for a Crop, be it for a Tinker, be it for anybody, he would just come over there and take it.
Turn to ban.
Now, I really like Alliance's opening, and I, of course, enjoyed Na'Vi Swallow. Basically, what happens is the Funnick Batrider, of course. But I think it's generally assumed, although it might be a bit apocryphal, that Batrider is not that good against Razor, because when you lasso a Razor with like level 4 unstable or level 3 unstable, and you don't have Force Staff, what happens is your Batrider kind of just sits there staring at the Razor going, well, what do I do now for about a second or two? And that leaves a lot of room for Batrider to just die, because he's essentially stunning himself by purging himself. But the other thing is, Death Prophet is known to be one of the better heroes against Razor because, for one, her range, for another, her presence, and the fact that she doesn't do damage from right clicks, and she can use herself in the middle of a fight. Alliance have decided to counteract all of this and saying that you picked the Doom against our bat last game, we're going to pick Doom against you this game. The only difference I feel, though, is that because they have picked 2 cores right off the bat, Na'Vi already have really good intel, and Na'Vi of course have 2 cores as well, but the way these cores on Na'Vi function are a lot more open than the ones in Alliance, and that's kind of weird to say, because Doom and Razor both can do like many things, and the reason that they're picked so early in this metagame is because they can go any lane kind of thing. But I feel like Na'Vi are just open to more options right now. I don't like that combination of Razor plus Doom. It doesn't really look that strong, and going up against the Death Prophet, I'm not sure if DP actually cares about those heroes, but I could be wrong, and Alliance could get the jump this time, although Na'Vi have the best jumper in the Funnick, in the Batrider. So we'll have to see what happens.
I just can't believe that Alliance also didn't ban out the Faceless Void. Like, we talk about him being an offlaner for other heroes, but he's been that ulti combination going with Death Prophet. You get a Chrono off, and you just keep that Exorcism going, and Razor has to sit there and take it. He can't move. If he's looking for some kind of steal, like, sure, it kind of hurts you, but in this scenario, Na'Vi would be running a safe lane Faceless Void, which means the Razor would be up against a Bat Rider. And that doesn't really favor the Razor that much, and it also shut down the Doombringer. Like, he comes in point-blank range up against a Faceless Void, potential for time lock, not to mention we're still missing 2 supports from both these sides. You could have Anthony that can just roam in and try and go for a gank on him. And they're actually thinking it's going to be a Havor Slark instead. An Alliance Slark, at least from Loda, which, what was that actually pushes the Razor in towards the mid? Or would that be Chessie playing that Slark in the mid?
It's still very open, but we can probably assume that both Chessie and Loda can play the Razor. I think the Doombringer is probably going to be on Bulldog, but knowing Chessie's role and flexibility, as well as knowing how Loda played the Doombringer in the past on Alliance, it could really go multiple ways. We'll have to see how the supports are picked, because depending on the type of support heroes that are picked, it's also going to determine who gets what hero and what kind of playstyle they want to run. Whether they want to really, really fight with the Doombringer, or kind of sit back with the Doom and the Razor and let the farm kick in a little bit before they start getting aggressive. And speaking of aggression, Na'Vi has decided, as you said, to ban out the Slark, which is one of Alliance's previously known counters to Bat Rider. And then the other one is the Shadow Demon, which they decided to pick up for themselves. So Na'Vi, you can bet many dollars that they're going to play aggressive again.
Well, with an SD, that does allow them to have a very large amount of aggression if they want it. But who's the coupling hero with this? The
We're about to find out.
The Mirana's being banned out. You could try and go.
They might Leshrac. Like, I know Vanscore plays it. It's not reliable, and we've seen the Leshrac SD combo fail many times. But it's still a very strong combo, and it's really, like, it's particularly good against Razor because Leshrac only has 1 target spell, and Edict is just really powerful against a lot of those things. So it's possible. I mean, if they want to add some more push to it, they could do that. AA is also an option, but I'm not sure if they're going to commit to an AA. I think it's going to be Shadow Demon jungler normally is what I would expect, but this is Na'Vi. They don't play junglers, Toby. They play killing heroes, and I feel like Leshrac is more in line with their thought.
I can go with that. With the pushing power, with the combo, the only thing would that just
BS
be
again.
The only thing would just be trying to lane it. I'm not as sure about this one because the synergy between the two of them isn't perfect.
No, it really isn't. I don't like it at all. But I mean, like, see, that's the thing. This is just one of those games as well. What's the aura gonna do for you, right? So it's essentially picked up as 1 stun, and that's understandable. But I mean, if your hero has 1 stun and a swap, which I'm not sure is gonna be effective as well, then I don't know. The synergy is not that great. They're both individually really great supports, but just as you said, Toby, there's not much synergy per se. They can still walk around though.
Yeah, well, the synergy between the two of them, like, working together, isn't that great, but the ability to control the hero in the lane for the core who's already there, now that works wonders. Yeah. And you've already got Batride who's dragging people back for lassos, so VS has stuns and swaps, SC with disruption and purges. So with all these 3 things together, I think they have enough of a combination. And the Leshrac will actually be taken by Alliance instead, so you get a Rubik Lesh combo.
I really like that. I kind of had a feeling that it's possible, but I don't know how Alliance's roster likes to play things. And as I say that, I need to correct myself. Misery is actually a really good Leshrac player. And he was actually one of the best before TI. Even at TI, I think he was one of the few teams that actually picked it. The other one, if I recall correctly, was Vici. Nobody else touches that hero because, I mean, for one, you miss that skill shot, you're pretty much dead because you're so squishy. And then the other thing is just positioning in general. It's a hero that requires a lot of coordination to play to perfection. But if played to perfection, then it can dish out ridiculous amounts of damage. So I really like Alliance's pick up there. And I like their support combo, really. Like the Rubik Leshrac, we've seen it before, but Rubik's Null Field, once again, it's really powerful against a lot of these spell damage things, and we don't see too much of it on Na'Vi right now. It's just Nuke and Bat Rider, Firefly, and once again, the VS Nuke. But overall, I think Alliance's lineup is starting to look really strong.
Matt, I want to ask you this question, because this is now the second... Wait, what?
Oh dear.
We're
Okay.
running
This
core
is-
VS.
Turn to pivot.
You know what's going on? They're playing a PR right here. They're gonna do the SD Dazzle. They're gonna do the heal bomb with the Shadow Wave, which is just gonna pop
Yep.
everybody that they go for half HP.
There's the
VS is gonna follow up with stun.
That's the
Yeah.
synergy we were searching for. it really didn't make sense with the VS and the SD together, but the Dazzle and the SD, that makes so much more sense.
Looking at this now, though, I really feel like I mean, a normal team,
10
not a Navi
seconds
team,
remaining.
basically, would have actually picked Invoker in this kind of lineup. It would work so well.
5 seconds remaining.
This is a Navi/PR team. They will pick a core VS and they will try to just snowball with it.
Reserve
Does
So,
this
yeah.
actually destroy the alliance lanes? Like, does Navi try and go aggro tri-lane with the Dazzle SD?
Yeah, they will. 100%. There's no way these guys sit on the safe lane. This is Navi, Kobe. Come on.
Oh, hey
Come on,
man,
Toby. Navi safe lane, tri lane, please.
your team does it. Your team would run Eternal Envy as a safe lane Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, but we would also try to bait things. Where Navi, there's no baiting. They'll level 1 smoke this game. They'll dive the enemy safe lane between the 0 seconds to 20 seconds creep mark. And whoever's blocking the creep wave will die. Whoever's scouting the creep wave will die. If not, they'll kill somebody else a minute later because they're Navi. Not much else to say about that, They pick heroes to kill and they kill.
So
They do
you're
it better
just
than
predicting death all round. Like, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all you see in the
10
world.
seconds remaining.
I really think so. As for Alliance, how they can kind of fend this off is
What?
a core Leshrac. Wow. So we got a core VS and a core Leshrac this game.
Well, I suppose the Visage is a great way of trying to do a bit of a counter initiation, because then at least you have like Soul Assumption damage.
Yeah, you guarantee a counter kill always. That's the nice thing about that hero. He's not assumed to be a great tri-laner because he's got nerfed like 5 patches straight. But at level 60, he's already still incredibly powerful if you don't have solution to bats. And his nuke is just ridiculous. I mean, that nuke, ever since it changed, is the reason why he started to come back into the scene. So, dishes ridiculous amounts of damage. And if Navi decide to initiate on anybody, just as you said, man, somebody's going to get turned on. Somebody.
Well, we'll see if Navi still have enough confidence to go for that aggro tri-lane. Just before we get into game number 2, just want to remind everybody that this is not the only game for tonight coming up with the live stream. We have Team Empire going up against Team Tinker in their 2-game series coming up directly after this
Prepare
one.
for
But for all the
battle.
information on the competition, head yourself over to d2cl.org, or you can follow the social networks which are cycling through on the bottom right. And of course, you can always follow our coverage of everything we do for Join Dota, either on mine, which is Toby1Dota, Twitter and Facebook, or Join Dota Official, which is just Join Dota. Very, very simple, very, very easy. And it looks like Navi doesn't have the confidence, man. They're pushing a force towards that top lane. We're going to have a defensive tri-lane coming out from Navi with
Wow.
Funnick off-lane Batrider, who's, again, he's doing this. Firefly through, sees Admiral Bulldog. He did this in previous games as well. He cleans up
There's
the
a bait though.
He,
Not really.
he's boots first with Firefly. You're not going to catch him out. But he cleans up this area here, which makes little sense when you then
30
plant another
seconds to battle.
Observer Ward down. Because technically, don't you help out the enemy team?
It would, but it kind of serves as bait. And you know what? The bait's kind of been overridden, to say the least, because it is no longer. Alliance have written all over it. And
Oh.
yeah, this is what happens when you do it every game. People will figure it out, and no longer does it work.
You
battle
wanted something
begins.
aggro coming out from Navi. How's this little maneuver next the secret shop of the Radiant side? They were trying to hide themselves up here in the little corner, waiting for someone to move up and rotate up towards the top lane, like just a moving support or someone to check for the rune. Because their positioning was you'd basically walk past this line and then you'd see them. At that point, you got 3 heroes, two on one side, one on the other, and
You
that
know
wouldn't
what?
have gone well.
I'm honestly just surprised they didn't buy a smoke, pop it, and just kill Admiral Bulldog like 5 seconds ago, right when we're in the creep wave is between tier 1 and tier 2. Very surprised. Look at these supports just showing themselves in the lane saying, walk up, I want to kill you. Oh my gosh. Oh, how do you play Dota like this, Navi? How do you just win? Oh my gosh.
The Arable doesn't want to fight this one either. He's fine with this. Like, he's still picking up experience.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he
very
can't devour Jack, but that's not the point.
Yeah, but this is the frustration though. Like Navi are actually content with this too. Like, how many teams would actually be content with their support just sitting in lane and watching their carry farm and take EXP? Like, look at this support. Look at FNG. Look at how much creeps he's just tanking up, saying, "I don't care. I have tangos. I'm gonna kill you." Like, this guy. just wants kills so bad. Oh gosh, Bulldog. Oh goodness, you walked in a little bit too deep, my friend.
He's going to cut through the tree line. Even the Saturn's turning against him at the moment. You actually get the regeneration from it, but Disruption will come out. They can move around him, looking for that heal. Not enough damage yet, but there it is. The Dazzle with the last hit in. Admiral Bulldog will go down the off lane. And Na'Vi gave number 2 the way they started game number 1 with First Blood. Funnick, she found Arcane in the tree line. The VS, well actually there's a pickup stunt coming down with a Shrag follow-up, and Funnick, he's actually going to go down here. Loader will get the last hit. He actually went Lightning and Split Earth. No points up an Edict. They wanted to punish they wanted to punish Funnick when he's just an inch out too far. And they did it perfectly.
What they did was really, really good. And it's not normal to see Funnick get caught out like that, but if you play that aggressive, that's just what happens. Looks like they've completely nullified Funnick's presence in the offlane because he's rotating to the jungle now, assuming that he won't be getting any kills. And speaking of kills, Dendi is pushing in the wave, so the angle that Na'Vi supports are coming in is not optimal at all, but depending on how aggressive Chess he gets, he might just get caught out here.
Well, he sees Dendi pretty damn low. An FNG has an Invis rune, so all he has to do is basically walk himself past here, and they got it, and there you go. Straight past the line drawn, and they all group up around him to get a perfect surround to follow up with the heal. Then you are so right about this. This is just like FNG inflicting PR aggression into the Na'Vi lineup. It's working wonders at the moment.
I mean, honestly though, if Bulldog didn't die there, everything would have been fine. What would have been happening is these supports would still be staring down Bulldog, who will be like level 1, maybe level 2. Everybody would be so low, and Bulldog would be just creating space by staying alive. Speaking of creating space, Dendi creating a lot of space here, juking Chessie, and Chessie about to dive and die. A second time after he just TP'd into the lane. No bottle, 7 gold, counting up 8, 9, 10. Toby, this Razor, not having a good start, simply put.
No, he's not. I'm not quite sure why he was back behind the tower.
Like, he saw a kill opportunity, but he didn't realize that Na'Vi, their supports, they don't sit around. They don't play games, you know. They can pop up at any lane at any given time, and it's not even nighttime yet, so you better be scared.
And what is this, Night Stalker?
That's how they play, man. Day Stalker, Night Stalker, it doesn't even matter.
Loader of Misery coming to mid. Like, they've actually left the Visage on bottom lane to find level 6, and they're going to pick up Dendi right now. Pick up, throw down, let's drag stun. They're dragging out his life points, and the plants are feeling the return back in. Well, ensure the kill. In fact, it's just going to be Loader who's the man to get the last hit in there. So,
that was actually Loda. You're absolutely right. As soon as you said Visage, I'm like, wait, is AUI in this game or something? What happened?
No.
Then I noticed
it was Loader. I got the name the wrong way around.
This Leshrac actually moved himself out of the lane to gank as a core Leshrac.
Yep.
Good or bad, time will tell. I'm not too sure about this one. I think the Visage rotating around would have had the exact same thing, and Leshrac getting levels is absolutely crucial right now. But I mean, he is 2-0 and 16 on CS, so he's not doing bad. We'll have to see what kind of implications that movement has, because it doesn't seem that bad at all, because they got the kills.
The thing, though, which I'm seeing bad is the fact that Admiral Bulldog has to move himself into his own jungle. He gets Tranquil Boots, he might just TP top lane because the creep wave's coming down, but the Vorce is still 24 for 10 over on this Vengeful Spirit. Nothing is stopping this VS from becoming something quite, like, I'd say reasonable as far as the core goes into the mid-game. Not even the mid-game, this is the early game.
She will be dangerous, but the problem with VS core against the Doombringer is, I mean, as with all things Doombringer, but VS just, all her presence gets completely diminished by one click of a Doom. And aside from that, she's just naturally squishy. For core heroes to be really efficient, they need spells that scale, and VS has spells that scale, but does it make her innately strong as a core hero? It's debatable.
Well, Admiral Bulldog's going to come in. Disruption. VS will have the stun as well. Trying to actually hold him in range of the tower with a wave of terror. Admiral Bulldog's a lot of damage being dealt, but of course, he's on the wrong side right now. The lightning will come in. Vanscory's got Shallow Grave. He's going to get his teammate away to safety. There's 1 point up in Soul Assumption as far as charges go, but the Planter Field will ensure the kill. Vanscory trying to TP out will not be successful. And Na'Vi throwing a big fish over to Alliance as they go deep underneath the tower. It was a 5-hero rotation, however, for this, but they still pick up 3 heroes.
It's unfortunate I missed that engagement. I think I'm slowly disconnecting, but there's 10 seconds left on the clock for myself. Overall though, you see this kind of Na'Vi aggression, when you give these kind of kills over to a Doom who fed you first blood, you're essentially evening out the exchange. And Doom, as you said earlier, he's happy and very content with an even scenario.
See, I'm sitting on the other side of the fence where I'm wondering if Doom really should be content with an even scenario. I think it's great, like, when you bring down the VS, like brilliant. You mean Divorced is not going to be nowhere near as effective. But I'm still looking at Batrider on the offlane. He's
not that far.
Yeah, he's not. He really isn't. I've been seeing him taking out the camps from Alliance for their pull points, which might explain too why they're... No, even the supports, because the supports from Alliance were always either on the lane or being involved in these big kills. Yeah, my perspective is now changing. And Denny's dead again. Telekinesis pick him up, throw him back. Arcade's got the follow-up slow. And Venscore, well, actually, one main just turns to 2 right now. Not to Shallow Grave himself up. Chessie plants a field in 2 seconds. He's trying to stay in range so he can get the hit. He's out of range. Venscore's away to safety.
He actually just completely walked in the wrong angle. I know he was trying to fog the tower so he doesn't take any more tower hits, but he definitely should have just ran straight and tried to juke the tower at like the above point. In the end, he misses a kill. It's not the end of the world, but it does cost him extra bottle charges for nothing in return. But he still did get the kill on the Death Prophet, and most importantly, DP doesn't have phase boots, so for extra mobility as well as damage towards a Razor lane matchup.
Firefly's off, and Doom is on. And he's trying to run himself off. There's a supporter coming in right now.
He's not dead.
He could disrupt him, and she's going to disrupt up the Doom right now. And Funnick, yeah, he probably won't tick out from this. He's going to drop low, but he won't tick out from it. And FNG just made sure there's enough space that a secondary hit didn't come in, but at the same time I'm watching Arcade moving on to Dendi. It does not look like Dendi is confident here in the middle lane at all.
I think he's fine. He's going to be able to push out the next wave, and Chessie, he has one more nuke. Oh, he's falling pretty low though. The next rune is going to be really huge, and I think Alliance are going to secure it because they have more presence at the mid lane. And Funnick is probably just going to farm the jungle because he's low life points as well.
Loda's actually taking it, and he's coming down to Dendi. Is he going to get the stun off? Well, he started an animation for Lightning at least, but he hasn't actually triggered a single ability yet. Now, Lightning he will throw out, solid bunch of damage, but 81 life points. Death Prophet will stay alive on. Still with 8 one-charges up his sleeve, but triggered the bottle instead.
You know, it's always a really tough call to make in those kind of situations. If they got the Death Prophet kill, Loda taking the haste rune would have been worth it. But I think overall it might have actually been best if they just give Razor the rune. Because Razor, what he can do with the haste rune is, it's unparalleled to a lot of heroes at this stage in the game. And especially against the Death Prophet matchup, like with a haste rune, he might have been able to just find an opportunity to kill both heroes with huge damage boosts from the static link. Regardless, it's not the end of the world, but Loda's going to look to stack the jungle and secure himself some of the farm that he's been missing due to all these map movements. But even then, once again, sitting at 202 and 36 CS by 9 minutes, it's not that shabby. You know, it could have been a lot better in the safe lane, but in his stead, Bulldog is getting a lot of what he was missing. And he's got the Midas recipe now, looking at a 10-minute Midas, starting from the off lane. Not too bad at all.
All you gotta do is keep it up. Funnick is currently farming up what's going to be... it didn't triple stack for him. But he's getting really greedy, trying to go for all 3 camps at the one time on the one Firefly.
Yeah, he'll get it.
Yeah. Greed pays off. But that's actually his Blink Dagger with the Centaur about to die. That's actually a full Blink Dagger up for Funnick. Oh, Familiars. They're scouting him out. There it is. So Blink Dagger's up. We've got to keep our eyes peeled for his rotations now.
Yeah. Still Blink Dagger by 10 minutes. Still. After all that's happened, despite all the movements that he made, still 10-minute Blink Dagger. Very, very, very good Batrider player. Sitting at 2nd on the CS board, only behind his own carry, who's 1st. And Havost actually picked himself up a Ring of Region casual ring for HP. I'm not sure if he's going to transition that into a mech, but if he does, I'd be ever more surprised, and it would be a nice move because then Death Prophet can go straight into the Eul's and should be comfortable with that as well. Their push would be pretty strong.
He actually just he bought the chainmail, but then sold it straight away just then. I just clicked on him for a moment. So it looks like he's going to be building a mech at least.
He might finish, like he might try to finish the buckler in one shot, or he might have just decided maybe I'll hold on to the ring for a bit and see what happens.
Would it be worthwhile getting a medallion, however, on a Vost?
I wouldn't like medallion. I don't like when you purchase medallion. It's just so all in. He's saying that I don't plan to transition to any other item from this point. And yeah, he actually picked up the headdress as well as the chainmail, so that's the path he's going. I would have preferred the buckler so he can just give armor to the push. But
smoke gank. Funny's coming on towards the top lane. He finds Loda going to drag him back. The rest of Alliance is pretty damn close, but getting it at the same time. Loda is already dead. Disruption. There's already a first TPs coming in, and there's Chessie. He's a little bit too far away, but then again, telling him to pick up on a Force, dragging him back. Magic Missile stolen by Misery. Perfect control, especially when the Doom comes through. And now the rest of Na'Vi will actually die on the top lane with Arcade getting himself a double kill. Denny also came up there. All of Na'Vi, in fact, came up there to try and stop that. But the second they initiated, Alliance just tried to loop themselves around the back. So they accepted the fact that Loda would die, and they got a really good collateral for it.
Yeah, that was of course really good for Alliance. I didn't expect it happening like that. That was a really nice flank coming out of the Rubik. Just did a really nice disable as well as massive amounts of damage and stole magic missile, which is huge. But at the same time, like as soon as that TP happened, that was like a 80% HP Razor that they could have probably just bursted with right clicks. And I feel like they kind of panicked in the moment, saying, "Okay, we're gonna get this kill and back." And what ended up happening was because FNG committed disruption on it, everybody was running back. There was no spells to save anybody else, and we're starting to see the falling off of this Dazzle SD combo. You know, if you don't get like ridiculous amounts of kills early, and sure they have kills, but Alliance has more because they've been just returning the fights. It's just not proving to be effective right now. They have yet to take a tower as well. The one at top is low, but their tower aggression doesn't seem to be coming anytime soon, and their supports aren't level 6 yet. As I say, that advanced core is actually 6, but what is he going to learn for his level 6 spell? That's going to be the interesting fact.
Weave.
Yep. So I think they want to commit to something. Good idea, but I'm not too sure if the timing is perfect. Once again, Havos, he doesn't have his mech yet, but there is a Death Prophet rotating in right now, and she does have ultimate.
Yeah, they don't need to commit it for this tower, but then again, seems that he does feel the need to do so. But he's got a range out here. The fortification will go too. But the Weave's also buffing up the heroes on this top lane, so there's no way Alliance want to jump into this. Instead, they look towards the bottom lane. It's Funnick, Admiral Bulldog, you get the level death off, but not enough mana actually left for a Doom, which means Funnick gonna jump himself in the Eye of the Storm. He's looking for a lasso, can't find an opening, but they get the stun over on Admiral Bulldog. VS actually swapping Chessie back in again. Keep the Firefly on him. Way! Plasma Field destroys one of them, and he just been fighting him. FNG with Misery back in the middle of this engagement. He ends up stealing Shadow Wave at the end of that, but the 2 cores do go down for the SD Batrider. Not really exactly what Na'Vi was searching for. I don't think SD thought that, or Batrider thought that Plasma Field would do as much damage as it did.
Well, in the end, it still worked out in favor of Na'Vi. Alliance lost 2 very important cores, and Na'Vi only lost the Batrider, who's committed to lasso for the engagement, and a Lonesome Shadow Demon has already got ultimate anyway. So, in the end, it was nice for them. They saved the tower as well, although I'm not too sure if it was a tower commitment anyway. Most importantly, Havos is about to finish the mech, and what I'm really curious to see is what's their next objective that they're going to transition into. Are they going to wait for DP level 11 so they can get the 2nd level in Exorcism? Are they going to go Roshan? Are they going to go push the tower with their presence? Multiple options in the pool for them, but only one that they can choose.
Well, right now, man, I think the primary option is to make sure these tier 1 towers are down. Because if the tier 1 towers are not, then Alliance still feel too free to move themselves across the map. And this for me is like what it comes down to. You've got the pushing power from Na'Vi early on with the Death Prophet. In the late game, the Razor's got it. So you need to stop him from getting up to anywhere near that Aghanim Scepter over on the Razor with the extra protection. But it looks like they're going to take Roshan first for the extra security. Exorcism's off cooldown in 1 second time. And Denny may as well just trigger it for now. Unless they feel they have enough damage without it.
Yeah, with the VS minus Aura, as well as Dazzle to heal. Yeah, there it is. The physical bomb. It does so much damage to Roshan.
Curry's, the Familiars are scouting it out. They're both going to, well, only first one drop, second one drop, and the rest of Alliance are rotating over. Misery and Chessie. Now the first one's in. Eye of the Storm's already turned on. There goes your exits him out from Denny. They already found Chessie. Little Shrike stun. Connects over on Avos. Roshan still not dead just yet. And Avos, he's really melting underneath that Lashrak Edict. And VS, wow, Havos sorts himself away to safety, but puts Dendy into harm's way, meaning his ultimate is now gone with the hero. And Roshan's just too low on life. Funnick is staying close by, but they've lost the Dazzle. The VS has to back himself up. And Funnick is watching closely, but he doesn't have anything apart from Blink Dagger to get himself in. Sticky Napalm's not really going to help him out here. And Roshan belongs to Alliance, as well as the Aegis the Immortal. The worst fight Na'Vi could have potentially taken around Roshan has just happened.
Yeah, as soon as the Visage Bat started coming in the area and kind of hovering over them to force the stun, then they should have popped the ultimate. That was a guarantee. And Dazzle should have weaved much earlier as well to give them the buff up. It might have actually expired by the time the team fight just kicked in, but overall, like, they needed the vision around the pit. And Funnick had the Firefly available for them, so that was nice as well. But in the end, yeah, that fight was just so messy. And Havos, play of the year right there, swapping in his Death Prophet. Oh, Oh my gosh.
She was liking just sitting on the high ground. It's like her ultimate was doing some work. She could spam out Crib Swarm, and then of course it's like, I'm low on life, I'm more important.
Yeah, like, that was actually just game winning straight up. If I was Dendi in that situation, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be kind of pissed on that.
He found an opening. They got Admiral Bulldog dragging him back. The weave's already starting over on Funnick, not to mention it's taking away the armor there of Admiral Bulldog. And Jesse being perched up. FNG just wants out, but Dendi is considering sticking around. When maybe with the telekinesis into Stolen Crib Swarm. Taking out the SD, sticking around should not happen. Funnick actually getting doomed up as well. Familiars are right in his talent. Now in comes Loda. Man, that Pulse Nova was doing some heavy lifting during the last engagement. And it's doing the same thing again. Funnick will die low, Vanscore dies high. Admiral Bulldog even chasing in very close that it was Dendi. But there's only 2 heroes left for Na'Vi, and I don't see them stopping this army of Alliance.
I don't see it either, man. I think at this point Alliance have a really huge lead. I know in terms of numbers it doesn't seem like the worst. It's only 5k EXP and maybe how much? Just under 4k gold. It's probably going to shift a little bit more as this tower is about to fall. But regardless, like that fight just completely showed the power of Alliance, how they can fight into Na'Vi without losing much, or if anything. And that's with just a mech on Razor and just a Blink Dagger on Doom, who kind of came late to the engagement anyway, or kind of just lingered around. Now they're going to reinitiate, get the Visage.
They're going onto RK right now. The SD Disruption's already gone off. For Shallow Grave will protect him. Jesse wants to run himself out. Then again, he might turn himself around if this one of Force. Dying into the tree lines to RK. While Admiral Bulldog still in the middle of that exorcism. Not to mention the Familiars. That brings him down. And a little bit further west, Jesse. Is there Blink Dagger back off cooldown? Yes, there is. Flame Break as well. But it only triggers the Aegis to the Immortal. Misery is able to get himself off that bottom lane. And now they need a little bit more control on Jesse to bring him down. Funnick, he's keeping clear of the Plasma Field. Blink Dagger's off cooldown again so he can blink himself up for a sticky Napalm. But it looks like Na'Vi will now just be happy with what they got. Which is they hold their tier 2 tower and they actually get a really good engagement.
Yeah, as I was just beginning to like break down some of the things that were happening, I didn't actually realize that Alliance was coming in deep without mana. All their heroes were just low on mana pool, so they couldn't cast all the spells and dish out their kits. That would have made a really big difference in that fight, but overall they did really commit and stay around too long, because Na'Vi had their spells refreshed and they just came in when they were full from the fountain and all these other things that they had been able to heal up from. So now game's somewhat stabilized, but in the end Alliance's lineup is still superior in what it can do as it scales and as the game progresses. Bulldog doesn't have a nice creep yet, but when he gets that on top of the BKB, he will be able to jump in. If the Death Prophet or the Bat Rider gets doomed, and even the VS, because this hero, once again, she just doesn't do that much as a core, I would say the Alliance will take the team fight very convincingly.
Well, they're going to try and force one right now down the middle lane, the tier 1 tower. There is fortification to buy time for Na'Vi to get themselves into position, and they're coming in. Fortification not actually being used. VS will deny up 1 tower. I don't think Alliance is going to stop right now. They're looking in towards that tier 2 tower in the mid. There's a lot, well, 3 units smoked up. They weave themselves up already. Waiting for the initiation point. And Jesse, yeah, he's the one at the front lines, but then again, so is Admiral Bulldog. And now they come in. They purge up the Razor, the Blink Lasso. Well, that's over on Loader at the moment, while Jesse trying to run himself away from this one. But then again, the Meg Charge forced up away. He's out. Home and Home said he can't keep up with him. Maybe his spirits can, however. The Lasso dragging Dendi down. He needs a little bit more life, a little bit more time, but he does not have it. RK again. This Visage is 7-1-5 at the moment. The Familiar's doing some big work, not to mention every single soul assumption, ensuring there is a hero ticking or dying.
Yeah, that's actually a really good anti-Na'Vi hero. Really good.
That's a lot of negative armor. Wave of Terror plus the weave effect on you, but hey, where's your jump? Of course, there's a swap. It's a level 2 swap. He's pretty damn close towards Loda just then.
Oh, I think he was looking for Loda right there. I really think it was just getting turned around by the creeps for a second there. Blocked up, but if he could have had Loda, just as you said, that 900-1000 range, he could have got Loda, and that would have been really big.
He just couldn't get close enough.
No, unfortunately not. And Loda's now gonna push out the top lane and farm it, kind of for himself. I'm wondering to see if he's gonna just finish up the Bloodstone that he had wanted from the early game stages, or if he's gonna go for a BKB. Either or at this point doesn't really matter. He has a Blink Dagger to initiate. One option just gives him more sustain. The other one guarantees the team fight.
It looks to be a Bloodstone. He picked up the Void Stone for now, but he's making sure he's always got buyback available.
Radiant's bottom
That's why
tower
he's
Really,
not picking up the ring. So it's just the Void Stone for now.
I wonder if buyback is actually relevant at this stage. I mean, there's a tier 1 tower available still, but
bottom tower has fallen.
Now, it seems like the Alliance are finally returning the aggression by smoking up 3 of their heroes, but it doesn't seem like they have a clear idea of what they do. Actually, it does.
Yeah.
They're running away from Navi.
They were looking for Navi around the bottom river, and just to get the nice aggressive observer ward down, and then, hey, finish the job. There you go. The sentry wall was already there to de-ward without disruption.
Spotted.
Denny's considering jumping in right now. Just a Crypt Swarm. There's no big follow-up. The rest of the heroes from Navi were too far away. They couldn't pounce, and they also don't know what's on the other side of the tree line. And they don't want to be diving underneath another tower. Even if it is just a tier 1 tower, they do not want to be underneath that right now.
Man, oh man. It's a very rare case scenario that you'll see a team that's down by 9 kills by 20 minutes or 21 minutes or so still plays so aggressive. Just look at the positioning of these wards and how they move with the smokes. Their supports are all negative score, and their bad rider star key player hero is not having the best game, and even then they just completely force the issue and force it time after time. It's incredible the amount of aggression and the audacity of this lineup. Like, look at them just walking into the enemy jungle again, mid tier 1 still alive. Heroes are missing off the map, but they just don't care. They want to fight, they want to find you and kill you.
Well, they just found one of the illusions. Funnick, luckily, able to show some level of restraint. Another Razor illusion is now coming up, but maybe this was their original purpose. Take out the tier 1 tower in the middle lane. Just backdoor it. There's no backdoor regeneration. There's no fortification either. So they'll take a tier 1 tower. The top tier 1 tower is going to be taken out by Loda. Unfortunately for him, he's got a creep wave which soaked up most of his Diabolic Edict. And he's having to just run himself away to safety.
Dire's top tower
And it looks like Navi, yeah, they're going to commit exorcism to this. With no fortification behind him, they know Alliance is out of position with a couple of heroes up on the top lane. And they're dishing out a lot of damage to that tier 2 tower. In fact, I think that he's got this one. They're not coming in close enough to stop him. They just took a tier 1 and a tier 2 tower for a tier 2 tower traded up on the top lane.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for Dendy because he didn't get the tower credit. It would have been huge because he's relatively close to his Bloodstone. But as I say, that Funnick gets sort of caught out, and looks like nothing is really going to happen as both teams seem to be content with the objectives that they just secured. Now, Navi's going to rotate back. What I'm mostly interested in is in Alliance's course of action. They just saw the exorcism being committed, and I think the appropriate response for them would be just to push in, because Bulldog, I think, has his flying, like BKB flying out. Yeah, there it is. And it looks like this is the perfect time, but Funnick reacting adequately once again because he is the Funnick Bad Rider.
Yeah.
Clearing out the creep wave and trying to provide as much vision as possible.
He realized just how quickly that push would be coming down mid lane. He needed that ground on fire to slow down the creep wave at least a little bit. And then the rest of it. I'm still waiting for this weave buff up to come up from Vansker on the entire team before the engagements begin. While the Force is waiting for this extra familiar. I think he was asking for a little bit of help. And the attack from Bat Rider will actually get the kill. A tier 2 tower is pretty low in the mid, but they use the fortification already. Yule Scepter,
are they gonna go
sending
though?
the Doombringer up into the air. I don't think so, man. The Familiars will take care of the tower. Look for a denial. Not going to happen. It will belong to RK.
Yeah, Funnick just got his Bad Rider Firefly up. He's going to look to engage her, I think. No, he decided to just settle for the ward instead.
He realized he got
think that's
spotted
safe.
out. Like, if he jumped just then, Alliance would be very much prepared for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Misery to drop an instant spell. He's really, really good with his reactions. He has a Force Staff. Ironically, I thought he would get the Blink Dagger, but instead he opted for the Force Staff. And now Ake has the triple Birds Up and level 11. That is a scary, scary visage.
I'm not going to say it reminds me of the carry visages from, like, in 2008. When they used to build into, like, Pipes, Mech, and Ags all on the visage together. And that was one hell of a tanky visage.
Mech Desolator, Remnants, 1v5 Dota.
Remnants. Oh, the Remnants. Every single room belonged to you.
Yep.
Every single one.
Every single rune. Forget that, Toby. Every single lane.
Oh, we have D-Ward of a D-Ward right now. There's a gem over on FNG. So, difficult for anything in Vis to catch out Na'Vi at least. But they're on the wrong side of the map to see any other observer wards apart from a new freshly planted one on the other side of the river. But that means they must be up into the Radiant jungle if they want to try and fight that. So they're going to trigger off their weave already. Is there a lasso? Yeah, there is. Admiral Bulldog being dragged back, and man, he dies quickly. Loader jumps in, balls up the stun. The familiars are causing some real problems at the moment, but then again, with Denny sending Loader up and towards the air, another silence, actually a 4-stuff, getting him out of range of that Crypt Swarm. Avors keeps throwing the stuns, so they want Loader out of these engagements. Same with these damn familiars who are coming back in again. And Avors, the Shallow Grave's the only thing keeping alive. 4-stuff out of range of the Plants of Field, return pulse back in. The denial also, wow, that was quick. He got that even after the end of the Shallow Grave and the Doom going down. But Dendy, he's Eulcepting again. He's going to try and have a crack here at Chesty. They've got him really slowed up. The VS stun will be there after we do see a Vorse buying back. They do not want to lose the Roshan this time around. 4-stuff off cooldown for Funnick. He's going to bring down one of the familiars here of Arcade. He's got a new setup in 16 seconds, however. Looks like they want to go for another kill. They've got Sticky Napalm. They have Denny on the front lines. There goes your other familiar. Misery is still in the neighborhood. The Eulceptor sending him up. It's a defensive Crypt Swarm from Misery. And now in comes Loader and Admiral Bulldog. The punishment might be a little bit too much there for Funnick. At the same time, one last attack in from the Death Prophet to ensure that Loader does drop an Avors. Now he's in trouble. Next available, Vanskor. Okay, that's a really premature Shallow Grave. He's going to TP out. That's the reason why. He realizes, well, Avors, it's up to you to get yourself out of this one, and he will not. The familiars, it's perfect Chainstone coming out from Arcade. And they will, well, they got some buybacks out. How many do we actually have from either team during that one? If we separate them up, we had 3 coming out from Alliance. Doom, Razor, and Latrak all brought back for a Vengeful Spirit buyback.
Yeah, but you know what? They had an objective in mind, and that is the Roshan. That's the entire reason both teams were kind of having a team bonding session for a minute before the fights broke out. The fights ended up being really sloppy because it was just so back and forth deep into the enemy territories respectively, and now the result is Alliance is actually going to get Roshan. So even though they committed a lot of buybacks, Toby, I would say this favors them. Overall, their lineup is stronger once again, and I feel like this was very close to an upset just now, because Na'Vi for a moment seemed like they were really, really strong, but Alliance with the appropriate number of buybacks was able to secure Roshan and alleviate the situation, or the disadvantage rather, for the moment. It's just it would be very interesting to see a comeback or full comeback from Na'Vi at this point, because it's not something that makes used to seeing them. Like, they're just normally heavy snowballers, but the pieces are in place. They can very well come back from this game still. On the back of Dendy, he is really, really farmed.
At the same time though, man, Denny could just be completely shut out of these engagements. He still went a no BKB Death Prophet, so I assume that's going to be a Shiva's Guard coming up next, which means Loader's item, which he is going into, it's not actually the Bloodstone, but it's the Scythe of Ice. So if he can blink himself in and get that control on the crop from the start, you may actually have fights without an exorcism. So there's a lot of pressure on Dendy, or at least pressure on FNG to make sure Dendy stays alive, or pressure on Avors as well as Funnick to make sure they're the ones doing the bulk of the initiating.
Well, that's the thing, see. Normally, it would be so difficult, and just as you said, there's huge amounts of pressure for Dendy to have perfect positioning. But if there's one thing that Dendy's really known for, it's his ability to engage in fights and his positioning in general. He's just really good with that. And as you said, you add on top of that Funnick's initiations, Havos swaps, and Havos has clearly demonstrated to us earlier that he's not hesitating to swap his Death Prophet player in any circumstance. And then you have the Grave, which could also save Dendy, as well as the Shadow Demon Disruption. Like, all these spells can just boon up the Death Prophet so much that if Alliance have one mistake or one bad engagement, things like what happened to Bulldog earlier, he'll just pop in like half a second. So Alliance really have to be careful, even though I still feel that they have a superior lineup. I don't know if this is the correct way. Like, they've been doing a lot of decent split pushing, but they've been looking too much for fights, and they just got caught out by the Bat Rider and a lot of these other things that they weren't prepared for. It's hurting them a lot.
We had the chat trivia come up just before. I think this one's actually quite an easy one for everybody to guess. Who is the most successful Western support player who plays Latrak? Like, who has the best record on Latrak who is a Western support player? And there you go. Yeah, what Western support player has the most out of 2 wins as a Latrak with a 28-14 record? And I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Always want to fly.
Yeah, it has to be an Empire player, right? They're like the only team that played Latrak before TI.
Yeah, it's always want to fly. So
Alright, Toby.
This is me at least. Everyone else who's currently tuning in.
I'm gonna go with the other one. I'm gonna go with the old tag team partner, Vanskor.
Really? Vanskor never played it.
Oh, that's what you think, man.
That is what I think.
Oh, Toby, you were right this time.
I've lost.
One battle.
There's trouble right now. He's going to get doomed up in the mid. Funnick four-staffing him away. He's going to have to actually deny him off right now. There's no other way for a Vorce to survive this. He's got Meg Charge available. They're pushing him far enough away. Maybe he will survive this. While Admiral Bulldog being dragged back down again. Vorce, he's still alive. The Meg Charge will now go. He's letting up the Wave of Terror to give that negative armor. Chelsea, he's not going down yet. Denny, that old ultimate is doing some serious work. Now disruption from Vanscore. They're doing everything to save him. Mule Center up into towards the air as well. Denny, they just can't kill him. Even with the quick Fade Bolt, his magic one charge, which he built up through all that survivability, actually just keeps him back up to full life again. Well, not full life, but at a decent level he can stay on the front lines. And then they even get a revenge kill into Misery, killing off the Rubik. Well, I said before, there's a lot of weight, not on Denny, but on the supports to keep him alive. They did their job, and they did their job well.
Yeah. Once again, the amount of invincibility frames that are coming out for this Death Prophet is just incredible amounts. And, you know, you said they got the return kill on the Rubik. That's not the only thing they got, Toby. They took down the Aegis.
Oh, true. They got it off. They got it off the Lashrak. Loader went down.
See, this is what I meant by the alliance engagements. They're committing way too deep with these engagements. Instead of letting the enemy just come to them and fall before the bats, because these bats can pretty much just solo up any support as well as the VS. VS will actually just die to bats at this point, or lose like a significant number of life points to the point where she can't participate properly. And then what would happen is Alliance have all these nice heroes that can sit back with the anchor, like Razor. He can get initiated on at one point. You have this Visage that's just gonna throw out nukes every 4 seconds with bats and stuns, and Misery, who's been playing absolutely amazing with 4, 1, and 15 on his Rubik. He's just gonna steal another spell, apply like 2 disables, and everything's gonna be a-okay. But they just keep committing so far into these fights. I have no understanding why this is so, because
I wonder if they feel on a timeline here. Like,
I think they do, and that's what I don't understand. Like, the way these fights have been going for them, they should realize that they actually have superior late game, no matter how you see it. This Doombringer on 6 items will get, like, he will just destroy everything on Navi, literally.
The problem is, though, Admiral Bulldog doesn't have 6 items. Admiral Bulldog has a BKB and a Plate Mail with a Blink Dagger. That's not 6 items. And Funnick, well, he's caught out in the top lane. That'll be his guaranteed death.
I guess you can always do that. Sheepstick initiation, that's always okay.
The reason why Loda stopped going in for either the Aghanims or the Bloodstone.
Yeah, that's actually a really big kill, because if Funnick doesn't get the... Well, he just finished up a BKB. You know what? He doesn't have buyback. This is the perfect time for Alliance to push. But there is no creep wave, and it is still uphill. Exorcism is available.
They're just trying to hold him out, though, without having to really commit to that. Not to mention that Weave is starting to really have its effect with the Wave of Terror. Bulldog's actually at -4 armor, -5 armor. So they bring down the tower, but there should be a swap. Chelsea! Whoa! With no armor, he just melts, and then in comes Denny with the ultimate. He already got it off, even after he got doomed. Before he got doomed, and now they're trying to chase him down. Getting Denny towards the front lines, get that Exorcism in range. 4-star, 4-star. Familiar drop down will come in. And Denny is trying to keep going after Arke. He's the easier target. Familiar drop down, now the Yule Scepter. He comes in point blank range, the Spirits just tack directly into the Visage. And they will pick him off, so that's both the Razor and the Visage going down. At least the Familiar Birds get themselves away to safety, but man, they stuck around even at like the last 5 seconds of the Weave, which is when they were so vulnerable. But
as soon as like the 3rd, 4th stack applied, there was no way they could stay in that fight. They had no creep wave, so they had no presence in that fight. Every bit of damage that was coming in hit all of their heroes, basically, because they had to commit to staying uphill for vision without creeps.
Yep.
And that was just a really, really bad scenario. Like, what's hurting them the most right now, though, is the fact that this Razor went into Aghanims before his BKB. And of course, it does damage the buildings. That's a huge credit to him for being able to take down the tower. But if you can only get objectives and not get all of them clearly without staying alive, it's just not worth it, and I'm not sure if this investment was the correct one. I think he needed a BKB this game.
I don't know if Alliance is looking to actually try and fight this one. The Weave's already having its effect. FNG, though, the Familiar Birds will bring him down. Not to mention get the follow-ups onto Dendy. Shallow Grave will buy him a little bit of time. Admiral Bulldog getting swapped down a long way while 4-star from Vanscore trying to get him out, but then the level death. It came and destroys him off, and now it's Misery. He actually ended up stealing the swap from a Vorst, so he's going to try a Vorst. He's chasing down Misery underneath the tower. But it ends up being a fruitless effort. And Na'Vi will lose 4 heroes underneath the tier 2 tower, throwing away every bit of advantage they just gained from the mid-fight.
Yeah, that seems more in line of what I had expected from the drafts. I mean, these heroes, they scale so much better than Na'Vi, and of course Na'Vi did dive deep there. But essentially my point is, I feel like if Alliance just plays a little bit more patient, instead of just playing into Na'Vi's aggression game, they would be a lot more composed and find a lot better opportunities to engage instead of having these drawbacks back and forth kind of things. Instead of having this tug of war, they would have had a much more clean scenario. And it looks like it just came to that point where it was inevitable because the push is happening again. But Alliance, this is not the time to push once again. Like, they can push into the base, but this is merely to create like a little bit of map space. I don't think they should commit to this too deeply.
If they do, man, that Bad Rise already looking for a way in. A blink to lasso with a 4-star BKB in 2 seconds time. And then Funny can jump into this one. Loader, I think, is going to be the primary target. He's already got the weave on him and a negative 11 armor. Exorcism will go in Loader. Wow, okay. There goes his life points. A little bit further out, actually. Bring down the Razor as well. 2 cores down for Alliance. He said it wasn't the time to push. They got themselves a ranged racks, but losing 2 cores for 1 minute. Maybe not the greatest thing. And again, Denny's on the hunt, but he won't reach anybody.
Yeah, Toby, this Death Prophet with Phase Boots right now, she runs at almost 522 like max movement speed.
What are you doing up here, man?
I think he's fine.
You think he's fine?
Yeah.
I suppose the Exorcism's coming back into him anyway, so all the damage which he just took did nothing. But he had no one else near him. Like, the nearest person to him was on mid lane. And Phonic, like, blinked and forced up to try and catch up to him.
Yeah. But basically, as you saw, this hero right now, she's got, with Phase Boots, 503 movement speed. She's pretty much, like, almost perma-hasted. With almost perma-haste and that kind of damage coming out of her ultimate right at this stage in the game, along with the fact that she has Shivas and Yules to grant herself...
Horse right in the Bulldog. They've bait out the BKB again. That's a 5-second BKB now, and the Doom is going to be used over on Vanskor. While Lavorst, with that very aggressive swap, threw himself right into the middle of RK as well as Misery. He buys... Actually, he bought a Blade before death. He didn't have buyback. Actually, no. He would have. He's short by 961 gold. He just sacrificed his buyback when he bought that.
Okay, that was... Yeah, I have no idea what actually happened there. As soon as I just turned over the camera based on your
He just came in and swapped Admiral Bulldog straight back out to
right
try
into
and
the creep wave into the dark.
No, it was like there was not even really a creep wave there.
I don't know.
And now Horse has no buyback because he spent his money, but Income Alliance, they will take this mid ranks. Denny is trying to keep him out with some Crib Swarm. Misery, however, getting the jump on him. Now the BKBs is Funnick. He's managed to drag Chessie back in range of the tier 4 towers. They need more damage into him, and the Exorcism may just be exactly that. The SD Disruption keeping Misery out of the play. Chessie, he does go down to the Shadow Demon, and Dendy, he's still going to stay on the front lines. He's looking for a little bit more. Admiral Bulldog, again, that BKB charge going off from him. But the rest of Alliance will back up, and they didn't kill off the melee racks. 58 life points it went down to and regenerating quickly.
Wow, there's actually so much action and back and forth going on that I'm not too sure I have a...
You didn't have enough time to actually explain what happened in the fight
not
before.
only that, I'm not even sure if I have a description for this. Anyways, Navi's gonna try to hit the Roche pit. They don't have all their heroes yet, so the presence is kind of lacking. There's also no Exorcism, but the Aura's about to come in, and I believe one of their heroes do have a medallion. No, actually they don't, but they'll probably have enough damage. Whether they'll take it down fast enough or not is up to debate, but it looks like without the Razor buying back, they're going to be able to take it without much responses.
I think VS's damage output's going to be enough. Like, they're actually cracking on to about 200 per hit from him as well. Not to mention the buff up he's giving to absolutely everybody else. Yeah. They've got this without having to use Exorcism, without having to use anything. I just want to double check too, man. Like, these BKB timings, I know Doombringer's trying to build a refresher orb right now. He's still a long way off having that. But his BKB is down at 4 seconds. So with Refresher, we count 8 seconds for him. But the Razor is still, well, where's his BKB? Like, we've got an Ogre Club and that's it.
He's just dying to all this magical initiations. Once again, there might not be so much magic damage coming out of the lineup of Navi, but sometimes you need a BKB to just prevent that one disable that could lock you in place and get you popped in half a second. And so he's suffering so much. He's gonna go into this team fight right now. If he's at the front lines, he's gonna pop again. Fireflight,
the smoke's not even broken. Divorce, he's on the front lines. There goes your stun and the lasso. He actually latched onto Admiral Bulldog. Divorce being melted down by familiars, but it's the Aegis Immortal that will be lost right now. The Doom is cast on FNG, so there's no extra control coming out from him. But Loda caught out. Divorce back to World of the Living, and look at the damage output. He's hitting so hard in. They're on negative 18 armor on Misery. The Ghost Scepter is what's keeping him alive. The Flamebreak as well. They can't get close enough. We've got to pause because Havorce, he's DC'd out in the middle of the engagement. There's no Poppy to pause this game. He's going to reconnect back in again. But, well, Denny can move up and take Misery. I think Arke is already away to safety. Not to mention he's still walking around with 40 points of armor. So the easier kill is to kill off the hero who doesn't have a blink dagger, doesn't have force staff, and doesn't actually have his ghost scepter. So Phonic, force staff up. They're going to attack him. They're going to attack him. Okay, they got it. Gem of True Sight's also being dropped on the deck. And Denny did actually catch up to Arke. He's right behind him with these spirits, but as you see that armor really going to work, Crypt Swarm as well. Arke! One shot is keeping him alive. Dendy, Crypt Swarm off cooldown now. He can't get himself in range though to throw the last hit. And they're going to back themselves up.
Yeah, this is just so much back and forth. You know, I think Bulldog actually made a really big boo-boo there at the start. He walked into the fight, he got slowed up a little bit, and then he popped his BKB, but he didn't doom the Death Prophet right away. If they doomed the Death Prophet, that fight, they might have actually been able to turn. I mean, most of the work was being done by VS for the initial bit, because she was the one that was dishing out the damage. But the DP Exorcism is essentially what they had to run away from. They just can't fight into that right now. They don't have enough farm on their course to fight up against that. And it was just that one moment. He had like 2 seconds in terms of room of opportunity, but it wasn't enough.
It's going to get a lot harder for him too, man. Denny just picked up a Mystic Staff, so it looks like he's going to build into a Scythe device here. So if he does get initiated on, this Refresher Orb, the Shiva's Guard, everything he's got, it's going to count for nothing. Because he's going to get lassoed, and then he's going to get hexed. Just before the lasso runs out, so then the BKB will never even be used by the Doombringer. And in that period of time, fairly certain, Death Prophet just triggers Exorcism, and wins at life.
Yeah, wins at life. Death Prophet is love. Death Prophet is life.
He's even got that cheese from the last Roshan.
This really is going to be a full-fledged comeback from Navi if they win this game. I don't really think that Alliance played it correctly. It's not to be too negative about them, but I think what happened was they just started playing into Navi's game, and that's the worst, when you start playing into the enemy's game, when you have this draft planned out for yourself and you don't play it on your own style. It just completely disrupts the flow of everything that you wanted to do. And now Navi's assembling themselves as 5. And speaking of Navi, once again, Toby, we've seen a lot of these guys over the last couple of days, and their coordination, you know, the amount of aggression they put out, it just seems to be spot on.
I'm still going to be very skeptical about who can even finish this game, however.
Yeah. Both teams can kill each other for sure.
Exactly. It's really going to come down to the proper initiation now. The weave's on all 5 heroes of Navi. So if Alliance try and fight into this, then Alliance will throw the game. And in fact, also with a very early Exorcism being triggered out.
Yeah, that was so quick. What happened?
I don't know why. With the weave bonus already, he just wants to go high ground. Like
yeah, but this is actually Alliance's chance. If they have any opportunities, it is here. Because after Exorcism's over, they're going to just back.
We've just ran out. They don't have the bonus armor anymore. The fortification will be used.
10 seconds.
And they're going to back up. Back it up. Misery, you're going to pick up. It's over on Dendy, but there's no follow-up. Not yet. Even with the Hex on Denny, they use the 4 stars to get him away. While in middle lane, they have to defend that melee racks. They got back up to full life. It's regenerated hard to do so. And Na'Vi will bring everybody back.
Oh, that hurts Alliance so much. They actually rotated their heroes to try and commit to that defense. And the early Exorcism, the premature Exorcism, ended up to work out perfectly for them, because now the top lane is somewhat pushed in. Alliance is going to take at least another minute to get to the base, reach the base of Na'Vi, and that means Exorcism will be up again. So that was what seemed to be somewhat of a premature move by Na'Vi, ended up turning out to be perfect. And once again, this just feels like Alliance is playing into Na'Vi's game right now. Na'Vi are essentially juggling out their enemy with 10 less kills. And that's usually not how Na'Vi Dota works. They're usually ahead in kills and juggling their opponents.
With the recent time, with Alliance staying inside their base, just over the last, it looks like 5 minutes or so, there's actually been a big change in a swing, as the word I'm searching for, in the experience. They've managed to gain about 8,000 worth of experience just in the last 5 minutes. The gold also, that was almost a 10k advantage to Alliance, and Na'Vi have almost zeroed it.
Yeah.
And the only thing which Na'Vi have really been crippled by in the early stages is the fact they lost the range racks, but that's not causing major problems because there's no big, like, meat shields pushing down the middle lane giving it the momentum. It's just the range racks. Right, they're gonna...
Speaking of that meat shield, though, it's coming.
They weave and they smoke.
Yeah. You know what? Bulldog has his refresher orb as well as his...
Here. This could be really bad from Funny's going to come in. He's got to trigger the BKB almost instantly. The Familiars are right next to him.
Alliance.
And the Wave of Terror, but look in the wrong direction. Alliance to the right, and Dendy, he's the one to get initiated on. The Shallow Grave's going to keep him alive. He's got a Yule Scepter still available as well as Cheese, and he won't use any of them.
Almost.
Yep, he's doomed up. He'll go down as well. Na'Vi made the wrong decision just then. And it was because they didn't have the vision for it. They have an observer ward up on top of the cliff, but that came out before the fight began. But they decided to go left. If they went straight down, they would have found all of Alliance. Instead, it was Denny thinking he was holding himself at the back, but he actually put himself on the front lines.
Yeah, that turnaround was awkward as well. You know, the funny thing though is I can't really blame Bulldog for this one, but you know, on that VS kill, he really didn't have to do them. All he had to do was just use the Shivas. He's already used the refresher, so the Doom was up, which means that they could actually push again, and they could actually force a VS buyback or start the fight with a Doom Death Prophet, because they have a Sheepstick as well, and things would have been different. But as it stands right now, the exchange just turned out to be semi-even, because they committed a refresher orb and showed that they have that. So now Navi's going to be a little bit more cautious. In the end, though, once again, such a back and forth game, and of course, just as you said, it's hard to rule out any single team. But I do think that Navi are certainly staging a comeback right now. If it's just not the numbers, it's the fact that they're still in this game after all that's been said and done. And I'm just already so impressed and surprised by that.
Well, you might have to get used to it, man. This Na'Vi squad seems to be impressing a lot of people of late.
Yeah, they're strong, man. Yeah. All of these teams are strong. They're all starting out so strong, and it's only the beginning of the year as well. It's scary what every year is just going to bring forth, you know. Even after TI5, there's going to be even stronger teams playing on a higher level.
It is actually, like, when you look at it, you always think, okay, you got to have a blend of, like, the old school, like, pros, the guys who have had a lot of success, with the guys who never really got all the way up. And most of the European teams are a proper blend of that. Like, FNG is always part of Power Rangers, always a good player, but never really one of the top teams. Vanscore, of course, well, that's kind of like the Na'Vi thing. They just take a player from Empire every year.
Na'Vi poach.
Yeah, basically. That's also the way the scene works. There's no structure to it, but it's the way the scene works. But yeah, you just have these blending of players. I think the only team which hasn't done that is Cloud9, because they grabbed Fader instead.
Yeah, well, I don't want to really talk about like us not poaching players. That's kind of a weird way to put it. But overall, I think the point is that, yeah, the game is definitely certainly it is lining up to be more like quote-unquote professional sports. Like if you watch basketball and stuff like that, things like this happen all the time, you know.
Yeah, that's only regulated by a salary cap, which
yeah, that's true. But I mean, at the same time though, at the same time though, it does become important later on too, like. Yeah, I shouldn't go into too much deep examples. Birds. Gotta get him out there. Funnick,
he's trying to chase down after one of them. I think he thought they're going to drop down, but they've already dropped. So just the birds coming in with the creep wave, bring the Reichs down to 2/3 of his life points.
Yeah,
that's something to be careful about.
Forced out a TP from the Bat Rider, and of course they got a lot of good intel from that because a lot of heroes were trying to attack it. And the bats are going to be just full HP again and come for round 2, and looks like they're already on their way. It's very nice to do this.
Dire's middle barracks
okay,
are under
that's
attack.
just ridiculous how much damage they do. They're bringing everybody in. There's a resummon though, so even if RK is like, alright, they're about to go down, so they just resummon them back up again. You don't get anything and you waste a crap ton of time.
Yeah, I don't know about that resummon though. That actually hurts them. Because now that those bats are down for 2 minutes, that means Na'Vi can actually do something and still get away with it. Oh, looks like Alliance is getting away from the scene, however.
Someone pull the plug. Someone pull the plug. And Vasquez like, oh, GG. What Na'Vi should be looking at, and something which you flagged, like the 2-minute downtime of the familiars, Roshan only just respawned. So Na'Vi throws one wave of terror, they realize Roshan's there, and then they just go to town on it.
What an interesting game. I still don't know who's going to win. Of course, it's just at this point where in the late game team fight, whoever gets the first jump with a sheepstick or a disable will win. And once again, Alliance have more quote-unquote disables, but it just seems like Na'Vi are always on the ball. This Funnick Bat Rider it just does so much work. I mean, his positioning is always there, and I don't know how he finds it. Maybe it's just instinctively built into him because he's played the game so much, but he's always jumping on the right targets and he's always getting his spells off. It's always starting up Na'Vi on a favorable position, and a player like that it's simply invaluable.
I don't know if you can hear me tapping. Hopefully not. Everyone's back inside the game again. So we're good to go. We are good to go. Everyone's in. Everyone's going to say go. Yep, Kate. FNG. I don't know if that's like his answer though to the other question about what's your best smile. But I'm interested to see if Alliance try and now contest Roshan. And just a bit the way that RK sends his familiars in. Because he might have to actually put them in from the west. Which is going to waste a little bit of time actually detecting to see if Roshan is up or not. Because if he tries to throw him over the top of the pit and Navi's anywhere near that, they could just like start sniping off those familiars. And Arkin is every single one for the engagement. And what's the courier bringing out? It's actually a refresher. We get a refresher from Funnick. So he's got his 6-second BKB that we refreshed up. He's got double lasso, double 4-staff.
Oh man.
Double BTs if he really wants it.
Yeah, these 3 position players on both sides are going to be so critical in the next up-and-coming team fight. So critical.
He lost one of the familiars.
Oh dear.
One's down. Wave of Terror and a basic attack from Avorce has already got the mana style. And they're committing the X's and familiars. They're coming in again. Avorce will see him, and now Admiral Bulldog. The BKB jumps are coming in, and Avorce using his to get himself away, but Funning. He's dragging Admiral Bulldog. He got him up on top of the cliff. Admiral Bulldog staying where he is. The attack's still going to be there, and the Firefly underneath them. He's going to Blink Dagger in a moment, but they're all just backing the crap up. SD, Disruption, trying to save himself, but it won't work. Visage sends the familiars on him as he came back out of the Disruption. Roshan sitting in half of his life points at the moment. The Exorcism on cooldown. Funny can just refresh her and go again, but
yeah,
he's going to use sticky napalm and slow him down.
Uh-oh.
Avorce got Wave of Terror. Where's that refresher from Funnick? Not being used just yet. The silence from Dendy, the Croup Swarm as well. Admiral Bulldog, that's a flame breaker. She's pushing Loader outside the pit. Roshan, 500 life points. In they come. Who's going to actually claim his life? Funnick into that refresher. He's got the... It's actually killed off by the Radiant Cyber, snatched by the Batrider. She's is also still on the deck. RK, he doesn't have that one. Loader, he's actually going to melt inside the pit. The Firefly is underneath them all. Funnick will finally go down to the plasma field. But as the Aegis Immortal will bring him back up again. Dendy, Eulcepting Bulldog up and towards the air. Funny flicked himself down and out to safety, and she sniped out the Impis rune, which managed to spawn during the middle of the entire engagement. The familiars are trying to get back out again too. There's only one of them left, and Funnick, well, he's in range of some kind of detection. It's the gem over on Misery.
He has lasso.
Yeah, he's jumping up, but he's still too short. He's going to sticky napalm. There's the Hex coming up from Denny Crypt Storm as well. Going to actually get some distance here before he gives too much damage over to Chessie. While Admiral Bulldog trying to chase down Funnick, but he's just too quick with the Force Staff as well. And maybe now they even turn to reinitiate. Firefly back up. He's got Blink Deck at 3 seconds here, Funnick. He's going to go straight down south to catch up to Chessie, but he will not reach him in time. And in the meantime, Visage has actually taken the mid-racks, and another tower has gone down. So, Familiars, you thought they were actually done, but they went back towards the mid lane.
Yeah, and his bats are up and resummon as well, so that was really nice play of Ake. Although I'm not too sure how much it'll actually do for them. Once again, at this point, I'm not sure how much Raxes mean in general. If anything, it gives a lot more vision for Alliance, I guess, because of the fact that Navi's supports don't scale that well, or it's been demonstrating itself to have a difficult time clearing creep waves anyway. They do scale at this point because it's just ultra late game, and they have some spells that'll have like a constant effect kind of thing. So overall, that fight was, once again, like most other fights in this game, it's very messy and dirty because it was just hard to determine who was going to come out ahead. But I think overall Navi came out favorable because they're going to be able to push this kind of issue where they won from the Roche pit, pushing into the enemy jungle and now pushing into the mid lane. Whether they commit or not though is a different story. Doom has everything up. Everything.
Yeah, I don't think pushing up right now is going to be the greatest thing in the world. Maybe wait until Dendy has finished that Lincoln Sphere, which he's building into.
Do you actually think it's a Lincoln's? I'm not too sure. At this point, I wouldn't put Refresher past them.
No, it's got to be Lincoln's. It's still the Doom that's going to cause him problems. And he's got no BKB, so he needs some level of defensive item.
It is, but you know, the other problem I'm thinking of is that there's actually so much single target that could just remove or proc the Lincoln before the Doom comes in. Not to mention, I'm not even sure if Doom is the only thing he's scared of.
Funnick! He's in! He's got Admiral Bulldog. There goes the Dendy ultimate. They're going to bring down Admiral Bulldog before the fight can begin. The Meg Charge will go, but Dendy, too much damage. The Shallow Grave get back out. The Exorcism stolen by Misery. They need to get more distance here.
No.
SC Disruption, they're just coming out. Again, the jump out. McCrop, he's down on the sidelines. And Admiral Bulldog back to World of Living. Shiva's kind of slowing down all of Na'Vi. Funnick force-starving BK. BK beating himself away. The refresher will allowed to do so. Now Misery actually locked on the wrong side. The Ghost Scepter, he evaded the last tech there from Funnick. And now Loda, they kill each other and they both drop their gems. But Na'Vi gets completely wiped on that front. And the only thing it really cost Alliance was a Rubik and a buyback from Admiral Bulldog.
Yeah. Dude, this Misery guy, his Rubik is insane. This guy's actually so good at Dota, holy crap. He stole Exorcism there, and throughout the game he's already been stealing so much single target spells and making big plays out of them, but it was hard to point out because of the messiness of the fights. He stole Exorcism there, chased down some of the cores, and wow, just the amount of work he's doing on that hero right now. And of course Bulldog has a lot to be credited for. Honestly, all of Alliance are playing really well in terms of the game perspective, what's going on right now and how they have to adapt. They're doing it really well, but so are Na'Vi. At the same time though, that dive, it was certainly questionable because they got the perfect pick, but they kind of committed all their heroes right outside and they just camped right in front of the enemy base. So they were fighting uphill vision, but more importantly they were fighting at enemy base, which means the buyback potential was there. And sure enough, Bulldog decided to buy back. Now has a completed Aghanim Scepter on top of his Refresher Orb. Is probably going to dominate the next fight if he doesn't get jumped on like that by Funnick. I don't think Funnick's going to get many opportunities like that.
I don't think he will either. And man, you're right. That Exorcism, it really, like, that became a full mess on the screen. For anyone who actually was able to chase down every single thing that happened during that fight, I give you props. But right now, man, I'm even seeing Arcade with 3.3k gold on an Assault Cuirass to Visage. This guy's got 46 points of armor when he's sitting here with like the 4 points up in the Gravekeeper's Cloak. Like, I don't know how you're even supposed to kill off the supports, where you look at someone like FNG, this guy he's still got basic brown boots, like his 4-star wand and an urn. He doesn't have a lot to play around with, and the Shallow Grave from Dazzle is all about the timing for him. Like, if he gets off at the right time, then hey, he can keep people alive, but keeping himself alive is a very different kettle of fish right there.
Yeah, see, the other key though is really Havost. Like, if you saw him in that fight, honestly, Toby, he did nothing. And I'm not trying to criticize the player. All I'm simply saying is his hero, in terms of game impact right now, the Doom walks in, Visage walks in, all these things happen, all these lights pop up. This hero actually is sitting there hitting like all these heroes with high armors for about 50 to 100 damage a click. It's just not enough. He doesn't have enough items. He's died way too many times overall because of all the fights this game, and the hero just can't respond in the late game as a course.
He was never meant to get this late game.
That's right.
And the difference between like that and Loda is the fact that Loda initiates on a Vast. You're talking about not doing any damage. Well, he's in a lot of trouble. Shallow Grave, he might have to swap himself away to safety. 4-star, double 4-star, about to get him out. And Loda, whoa. He's coming in deep. The Shallow Grave was stolen, but now the Purge on Loda, the Flame Break, it won't push him back up. The BKB was still there. And then the 4-star Loda back out. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, the Familiars are trying to bring down the tier 3 tower. So Na'Vi are being poked and prodded on multiple sides.
Dire's bottom
and now they're back up again with their high damage. Fan score, he'll pick up one, and there's no resummon for 7 seconds.
Regeneration.
It's a nice move to do that, but like this kind of game where there's so much fighting, I'm not sure if it's the right move, honestly. Committing your bats, like suiciding them. Suiciding them is okay if the game goes on for another 10 minutes. But I'm not too sure if that's what they're seeking. I feel like what they really want to do with all these sheepsticks and the way they purchased items this game is just to fight into Na'Vi and take them out. And this kind of half-hearted commitment to that, trying to use it as just an excuse for space and push the other side of the map with Visage Birds, which are a huge part of your army, because these birds, they stun in an AoE, Toby. 1.5 seconds on each. That is huge against a lineup that doesn't buy many BKBs. I'm not too sure. I'm not convinced on the choice. I'm really not sold on it.
I'm also not 100% certain about it, man. But he'll have to have his birds here for this engagement. There's no other choice for this.
Yeah.
Because they're coming him. He's got all three of them in the middle lane. And Na'Vi actually 5-man smoke to run down middle lane, then they realized they had no creep wave with them, so they started using their abilities inside the smoke. So when Crypt Swarm as well as Wave of Terror is thrown out on a creep wave in the middle lane, pretty sure that's a pretty high flag for Alliance, saying they're all coming out. But they see the TP back, Savos and Misery. Look how quick he's coming out. Like, he wants to find an opening while Na'Vi are falling back. Just one straggler, that's all he really wants. And he's not going to find anything.
His awareness has been phenomenal, and honestly, if Alliance win, he's MVP. Like, there's so many opportunities that are being created for both teams, and both teams are seizing it, but they're kind of overextending in many situations. So that results in a lot of these team fights. But Misery, though, this guy, like, his position is amazing, and his awareness of the game so far has proven to be exceptional. Just the way he's making these plays, it's incredible. Keeping them in the game really with a lot of his Rubik plays. And so is Bulldog, of course, but that's already been touched upon. He is Doombringer after all.
You see the way Alliance is trying to get past this Death Prophet? It's not mass Ghost Scepters, but I'm pretty sure, well, Loda's almost got enough money he could finish up an E-Blade to save another one of his teammates. But he did build into a Ghost Scepter. It's kind of like weird to see both a BKB and a Ghost Scepter on the same hero.
Yeah, from what I know, they don't work together, but apparently if you E-Blade after you BKB, you get like invulnerability kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah,
you would
I
think
was
that
told.
shouldn't function though.
I don't think so. I've actually been told by one of the C9 members. I'm not too sure how much it holds true, but I know for one that if you E-Blade while Juggernaut's spinning, then you're kind of getting like semi-invulnerability. Except to ultimates that cancel Blade Fury. So.
Sonic. 4-star, keep up with him, man. He was trying to hunt familiars. There's already a resummon though for Arke. So he's got a double set of familiars coming into the next fight, while Loda, man, he's got 5.8k gold. Like, it almost would feel a shame for him to buy an E-Blade.
Yeah, he definitely wants to hold on to a little bit of money for buyback. But yeah, he can purchase the E-Blade. He'll have 2.5k. It'll be good enough for buyback. Now, I do want to comment on one thing. In this kind of game, at this stage, when you have a hero that doesn't scale...
Misery. You might have to wait, man. He's jumping. Oh, no!
Oh, that was a risky call anyway. But overall, I think what Hobo should actually do is just buy a sheep stick.
He's going deadless. He's going deadless,
Yeah, I don't think this is going to help at all. I think it's actually going to do nothing. It might make him do like 30 more damage with a right click to a support or something. But there's no way he's breaking through all that armor. And his presence alone is the most important thing in these team fights right now. To provide that aura and the wave of terror. And possibly swap on a sticky situation for the Death Prophet. Aside from that, I don't see him having much uses. Unless he's committing to like a full 6-slot BS. Which is not happening at all because in terms of a core perspective, he's got 3 items. Which is just damage and a mech. It's going to take way too long to kick in. He's not going to get any space to farm. I think he should have gone sheep stick.
They're going to farm up 3 familiars. They have to resummon straight away. Yeah, she lost one of them still. 100 gold into Dandy. Wait. But Dandy's also got 5.5k gold, but they're coming in through top fortification. It's not going to be used. The track's already taken it. That edict going to work very, very quick. And with also the resummon, the birds were also there straight away. And now they're rotating back down to bottom lane. Again, they're trying to go for this push. Now, be careful with these guys. He's actually going to lose one of them already. So he's on 2 birds for 2 minutes now.
Yeah, they're playing this so cautiously, both teams. And now Roshan, maybe this is the final fight. Maybe.
Dude, look at bottom lane. I don't think Alliance can go straight in for Roshan right now. I suppose the tier 3 tower will die and they can take that as a collateral, but that's a big wave coming in through bottom.
Yeah. Oh, you know what though? This might just be perfect because Navi can bait out the Roshan as well and kind of waste each other's spaces, or each other's times rather.
Well, then he just used ultimate. He just used ultimate. Now, are they going to come back in? Are they coming back in?
Uh-oh.
Alliance aren't ready for this. Roshan says. Like, Navi's already got it. The birds are going to come in right now. Denial of Aegis or Cheese? Nope. Cheese taken up by Death Prophet. Aegis onto the Vengeful Spirit. So you can have a double Horvorst coming into this game. And they lost another bird as well. Funnick being picked up, thrown back down again. The Doom's on him. SD Disruption. Try and buy some time. Denny Oldie is still up and running. FNG into the tree line. Funnick, the Telegraph kept him alive a little bit longer, but it's Loda who will pick himself up a double kill. That Pulse Nova going through the life points of Na'Vi. That tier 3 tower is still actually not down. That creep wave wasn't enough. And Denny is all the way back to base. Both Dooms being used. The Exorcism will heal him up, but they're going to defend the top lane. That's the objective to hold on to.
Yeah, they can't. There's no Exorcism. They actually just have insufficient damage overall. I don't even think they can kill Doombringer right now.
Well, there's no creep wave right now. What was on creep swarm? Well, that's an easy way to get rid of it. There's a buyback coming out from the Bat Rider, a 4-man silence from Dandy. VS, he's in through the rear, pops the BKB, Funnick, dragging back Chessie as Denny though has to Yule set for himself up towards the edge. Just a little bit of safety with the Meg Charge, keeping Chessie alive to fight another day of Force. He's still trying to battle up against this Razor. He's successful at doing so. He's also got the Aegis Immortal battling up against Arcane. Needs another attack. Shallow Grave buys him the time. Wave of Terror sees him in the corner. Force up back down again. And Force goes up getting stunned up. Finally gets the attack in there. And Admiral Bulldog, silence on the front line. VS, well, looking for a bit of a swap. Actually, that's coming out from Misery, swapping Vanscore into the fight. But Admiral Bulldog, 150 life points. Loda is a triple kill for Revorce. The man who had no damage is now pumping it out with that Deadless, waiting for Misery to hit the deck. Magic Missile and Death Prophet Shiva's guard going through that Ghost Scepter that was meant to protect him from the physical damage. And Admiral Bulldog, the only man to survive from Alliance,
is
Not
under
to mention Na'Vi, they don't lose their top racks. The range racks was the only thing that was injured. It won't regenerate, but it's not lost for Na'Vi. And they did that entire fight without exorcism. And you were 100% right, Claire. That is a refresher orb death prophet.
You know what? I have nothing to say. I don't know what's going on with these fights. I saw Loda blink in to the Shadow Demon. He stunned up the Shadow Demon, but then they committed to the Death Prophet instead, which means they wasted their Sheepstick. And then Alliance's heroes overall just didn't seem to be ready. Aki was just floundering with his heroes, almost seemed like he was microing bats on the other side or something, which he wasn't. But like he just didn't cast many spells. And I don't know, the coordination was, it just broke, it fell apart right on the spot. Na'Vi came in with like 2 heroes from the south side, and Alliance had the vision for it, but they just weren't ready because it didn't seem like they wanted to commit. And once again, they were forced into the situation. Now, as you said, with the refresher orb, they're going to push this, and they're going to have a 60-second full minute exorcism, and they're going to push this issue here because they probably still have... No, the cheese is gone.
Oh, there's a
do
swap.
they still have Aegis?
Avast, he got Chessie. They got the poison touch on him, slowing him down too. Avast, he died almost instantly, however. Not the plan that was there. And Dandy, he's actually giving his damage back over right now to Chessie. The E-Blade trying to protect him. Admiral Bulldog back out again. A Yule Scepter up and towards the air for Dandy. Refresh has been triggered, but he's currently doomed up, so he can't get his ulti combination off. Picked up and towards the air, throw him back down again. They're trying to keep him alive. A Shallow Grave, a little bit premature, turns back into the engagement. Vanskor with the extra heal. Dandy, he's got Yule Scepter again, but can't get himself up towards the air in time. While Vanskor getting chased down by Misery, RK as well as Chessie going west. You got East, FNG and Funnick. They've actually called out Admiral Bulldog. 4 napalm stacks. They've got the poison stack as well. Admiral Bulldog 5 napalm stacks into the Firefly. Loda's coming back with the Pulse Nova. Just trying to battle up, and a Force back to the Wall of the Living. Trying to fight this one up. His own BKB swapping up, trying to buy some distance here. Loda not dead yet. The Flame Break from Funnick will be able to successfully do so. Avos, man, the Shallow Grave, they're still there. Trying to keep him alive. Avos a quick stump, but he is now down. Almost 2 minutes on the sideline. Well, the Plasma Field chasing down FNG. They're diving in deep. The poison charges finally go down Chessie, but Lasso out from Funnick. Denny's back in the fight again. A double kill for Funnick. It's the refreshed exorcism that's already going to work. Yule Scepter sending Admiral Bulldog in towards the air. The BKB will protect Chessie. Admiral Bulldog triggering his own. I think they can't decide. They're going west, they're going east. They can't find a target. Admiral Bulldog, now they finally go east for him, but Funnick, he's got 4 stuff off cooldown in 3 seconds time. He's trying to chase up the Admiral Bulldog, but they're too far away. They don't see him. They don't see anybody. They're looking around the tree lines, but they can't see him. He's into the trees. Buy a TP and get out. Actually, he just had his TP. He just bought boots. And then walks out and finds Dandy. Dandy for the quick hex, but the exorcism is worn off. Funnick is here. Lasso off cooldown. 9 seconds. Flame Break. Admiral Bulldog. How much life points has he got? The BKB still on cooldown. 4-staffed over into the tree line. The Firefly. Let's kick him in on top of him. He'll go down. Vanskor part of the fight. The Shallow Grave will still be available now for this engagement. The Plasma Field, they can't find him here. Misery. He's burning up right now. Funnick will TP himself away to safety. Meanwhile, up on the top, Familiars finish off the ranged racks. The tier 4 towers are down. The fortress is being attacked, but Na'Vi still hold the line for now.
Toby, do you even breathe?
Don't require.
Holy moly! Oh my gosh! I mean, between between the endless stream of events and the endless stream of words I was just getting lost, man. I got no comments for that. That was probably the most extended fight I've seen in a while. It's 66 minutes into the game, and finally the creeps are being relevant because the pushes are happening. Teamfight began at mid, took so long that the Radiant Raxes were able to have effect and push all the way into the tier 4 of the enemy base and take that down. In the meanwhile, the Bats were sieging the enemy Raxes as well on the top lane, aside from the bottom lane that they were initially attacking, and this is the result. Now we have a dead VS and a dead Lash Rack, and the Visage Bats once again they're taking out another building.
Tier 3 towers. It's like, what are you supposed to do now? Like, FNG's coming out trying to find something to keep the creep wave back, and you gotta wait again for the actually, then again, you don't have to wait that long. Funnick is chasing on the Familiars. That's even if you can just get one, that's gonna help their cause. But it's the fact you have Denny back alive again. He has Refresher Aghanims, Refresher Ultimate in 2 seconds. Both the Refresher as well as his Ultimate come back off cooldown. So if Na'Vi want to try and force the issue again, they potentially can, because the only buybacks available for Alliance this time around is the Razor. Everyone else is on cooldown for the moment. Buybacks for Na'Vi, well, things aren't really that great there either. In 1 minute, you'll have the Bat Rider off cooldown. But the Dazzle is the only one who has it.
Stevie just TP top. She's gonna push out the wave now. One more nuke, but before that, Loda does engage.
He blinks up, but he never got the Hex on Denny, and Funnick was too quick on the 4-star away.
Bulldog, they're going.
Nah, they can't reach him, though. Denny's movement speed is ridiculous. Unless those familiars that were rotating in could get the stun, they wouldn't be able to pick him up, but now actually Misery is the one who's in trouble.
No.
That's a fire-flying Batrider that can see him. They blink down, and then over. BKB from Funnick, but he's not close up to anyone. Now Chessie, he's still too far away. Misery comes in, but the BKB's worn off. Refresher up will go. Secondary BKB now gonna go. At the same time, Dendy has triggered the Exorcism. A little bit premature there from Dendy. At the same time, Admiral Bulldog knows what he's gonna do. Give the top lane momentum and let it push towards the melee racks.
Oh man, I was actually so impressed by what Funnick and Dendy did there. You know, it did seem premature, but those spells right there, they might have been necessary. I'm not too sure about the Exorcism. That one's a really hard call in that situation, but what Funnick did was absolutely necessary. And it hurts him so much because his refresher is now down and the enemy knows that, but he had to do that.
FNG, get some distance. That static link was actually wasted just then. Is Denny going to refresh it for this? Admiral Bulldog's coming up. The Doom's already over on Denny. They have to force stuff him away. Admiral Bulldog, he got his secondary Doom over on Funnick. Shallow Grave will keep Funnick alive for now while Force trying to battle up against Misery, but these Ghost Scepters and E-Blades are causing him so much trouble. He ran into the Alliance base just to die. Maybe he's looking for a nice place to bury his own body. But now Na'Vi, they're in so much trouble. They don't, well, they had Refresher ultimate for Dendy. Not the double ulti though, just the one. But they're missing the Batrider. He has buyback. But they're missing, probably more importantly, the VS as well. They don't have, well, I suppose the negative aura is there for the enemy, but who cares about that right now?
Oh dear.
It's actually Arcade. Arcade's got to keep his advance score. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's quick. The Hex will come. Vanscore turned to a Piglet. Couldn't get his Shallow Grave off in time. He'll buy himself back into the game, and Dendy will trigger the ultimate off. The Yule Scepter sending Loader up in towards the air, and Dendy, he's just running out balls deep into the middle of Loader. He's taking so much damage. Admiral Bulldog following him up as well, and Dendy's down. This is big right now, Alliance. They could be taking the victory. Funnick, the Shallow Grave's keeping him alive just that little bit longer, but it's not long enough. GG is the call coming up from FNG. They've lost too many players, too many heroes, and the game will belong to Alliance. And Alliance and Na'Vi, the first teams to play here in the new season of the D2CL, will go 1-1. But it's not the end of the night. Make sure you do not turn your live stream off. Team Empire will be playing up next up against Team Tinker. It is our two-game series of the night. And Clairvoyance, I know you were lost for words before on that bottom fight, but, well, I say the bottom fight, the mid to bottom fight. Any last words to wrap up our game?
Well, the only afterthought I have is that, you know, both these teams obviously saw a huge shift in rosters. In this game right now, Toby, Alliance versus Na'Vi, there is no S4, there is no Puppy, and there is no Kroki. But I think that game just now demonstrated that the long-standing rivalry from last year still stands true. And that's all I have to say about that.
Well, I can't wait to see him fight up again. But for now, I'm looking forward to Team Empire versus Tinker as well. Two great series of Dota coming your way tonight. So stay tuned. YouTube.com/join Dota for VODs, as well as right here on our Daily Motion channel, which is dailymotion.com/join Dota as well. Great action coming your way. We'll be back. We'll be back.